So, hello, friends. That? People talking in the hallway, getting out of the elevator.
It sounded like dinosaurs on my end, and I am not kidding. It sounded like something was like roaring high-pitched.
They're just laughing, Danielle.
That did not sound like that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Book Retorts. I'm Danielle.
I'm Sam.
And this is the podcast where one of us explains a weird piece of media to the other who has no experience with it, but that's a lie.
Danielle, I would say it's not a lie. Based on what I experienced last week when you told me about this Hardy Boys novel, the first half of it, I am still completely in the dark about the Hardy Boys, which one is which, and frankly, what they do or what their qualifications are. So I think
You don't know which one's Joe and which one's Frank.
I know that. I mean, there's a Joe and a Frank, which I just learned now. So,
oh gosh, you knew that.
Potentially.
So we are continuing. This is part 2 of the Hardy Boys Case Files book number 1, Dead on Target by Franklin W. Dixon.
Dead on Target, which I gotta say, thus far, I don't know how that title plays into this particular piece of work.
I can't help you. I don't know.
Like, there's not a lot of target shooting or anything like target related. It's just a terrorism plot, which I should probably get into, shouldn't I?
I mean, maybe because the bad guy's named the Bullet.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
Maybe. I don't know. Can you, Sam? This is your job.
Not going to do
job. It. Yeah, well, I always have to do it. You now have to do it. That's not fair.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm just not going to do it well.
We gotta summarize the first part. You always say that, and you're always particularly good at summaries.
I'm gonna do amazing on like the first half, and by the end of that first part, I was so like overwhelmed. I don't know what happened.
Okay, well, let us know what happens with Frank and Joe Hardy. They're brothers, Sam. I'll give you a clue.
Right, they're brothers. I got that. The Hardy brothers, their new moniker. The Hardy Men. I remember that. Yes.
Oh yeah, that was half the plot right there.
Okay, so the book opens with an explosion where the girlfriend of one of the boys is explodified.
Yes,
in a car bomb. Iola. Yeah. She belongs to one of them. Well, not belongs, that's the wrong word, but she was...
That's particularly bad for you, Sam.
Yeah, that's a bad thing to say. But she was the girlfriend of one of them who didn't treat her very well, so really, she belongs to herself.
Yeah, that's for Joe.
Joe, okay, yeah, it was Joe's girlfriend. Got it.
It was.
So, we open the book with the explodification of a girlfriend. And I only say that because she has virtually no character in this book. So, I don't feel bad that she's been reduced to a caricature because that's what the book does to her.
Oh, yeah. You don't find out anything about her, really.
Exactly. So, sorry. That's just how she's presented. We flash back a whole hour. They're at a political rally. Joe is macking on some other girl. Iola gets upset about this, goes to the car, and then explodes. So I'm really glad we had the opening and then the flashback and then the explosion.
Do you remember where the political rally is?
Bayport?
Yes, but where in Bayport?
A mall?
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay. I mean, that's the only other location in the book.
It's important.
Okay, good. I'm just saying that's the only location you mentioned in the entire book was a mall and the Hardy house.
Yeah.
So I took a guess.
They make it to Britain. They made it to Britain in the first half, right?
That's right, London. I'm just saying, like, I'm still upset that we had a whole opening and then 2 whole pages of nothing happening, and then the explosion that makes it back to the opening. Like, unnecessary.
Do you remember...
Give me a chance.
the political rally. Do you remember the political rally, who the political rally is for?
I mean, there was a guy who's running for president, and he's anti-terrorist. That's all I got.
That works. His last name's Walker.
Okay,
Walker for Prez.
Walker. Okay, I don't care what his name is. He's just some generic anti-terrorist presidential candidate.
Absolutely.
All right, but this rally they're at is not a rally for Walker. It is a pre-rally, a dress rehearsal rally where he is not there.
Why?
That's, again, I remember that. Why is this rally being held for a person who is not there and is not campaigning there and is just wasting money holding a rally twice, one of which he will be at? Crazy. Anyway, so she gets all explodified. Joe gets all depressy. They go to her funeral. Their dad, whose name... Oh, I remembered it for a second there. I remember because it was funny. It reminded me of someone else's name.
Give up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fenton, right,
okay. Fenton Hardy, which is, it's a choice.
I mean, this was a really long time ago.
1920s.
These books are written.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, he abandons his grieving sons to go do something mysterious. And the mom is just not even mentioned in the book barely. So again, all the women get really short shrift in this book.
Yeah, they do. They have better parts in other books, but definitely not the first one.
So Joe's all depressed. Frank's talking to his girlfriend. Name, I don't know because she's barely mentioned.
Callie,
sure. That he doesn't know what to do about Frank. And then Frank's all like, I'm going to take revenge by tracking these people down and doing all detective stuff. And
no, Joe is.
Joe says that. Whatever. Whoever they are, they're basically the same person in my head, Danielle.
Totally different people, but okay.
Yeah, whatever. So they go to the police to try to get some leads because... First they have to meet Mr. Gray, right, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have met Mr. Gray before or after the police. It didn't matter. They just meet him at some point, and he gives them...
I was making sure you didn't forget about him.
All right, they give him a business... He gives them a business card, says, I'm a friend of your father. A fact that they do not verify.
Do you remember what the business was?
Imports and exports, the most generic-sounding thing ever.
World Import-Export Company.
So,
like, that's the name of the company.
Does it import-export world? Is he like, I will sell you Mars?
Maybe. That'd be cool.
I would love that.
I'd totally read Hardee's in Space.
Hardee's in Space. That sounds like a campaign for the restaurant. Okay.
So they go to the cops.
The new New York transfer cop is all like, I think you did it. You were playing around with bombs and you whooped your girlfriend by accident and you better confess right now and I have no evidence, so bye. And they leave without really doing anything there. It was completely pointless how they went.
It wasn't pointless. It was to introduce the, annoying New York cop who thinks that they're responsible for Iola's murder.
And this is going to be relevant when they're in London. How?
I will get to what's going on. Do you remember the bad cop's name?
Starts with a B?
It is Samuel Butler.
Butler. How did I forget Butler? That's on me.
Yeah. Samuel even. I may not have said that last time.
I'm not sure I knew
his name was Samuel.
Maybe. I don't think you did. But I'm sad to be associated with him by name.
I think you once said that all the Sams would be you from then.
Well, that was a mistake. I regret saying that. All right, it's me. I'll take it. It's on me. So they go to the mall looking for clues. They talk to a bunch of people, and they're like, oh, they stole a bunch of cables and stuff that have gone missing, which are clearly bomb-making materials. But also, they weren't because they were using plastic explosives, which are not things you can steal from a mall. So,
well, you're going to love the second half of this book then.
Uh-oh. Anyway, so there's a brief chase through the mall as they're being shot at by assassins with dart guns because... I have no answer to that. I don't know. I don't know why dart guns were used in the beginning. If they're just trying to kill them, they're not like trying to tranquilize them. They're trying to murderify them. So the dart guns seem completely unnecessary and overcomplicated.
Does that happen in the mall?
Yes.
I can't remember.
How do you not remember that? I remember being very upset about that.
Because I've read an entire second half of a book since then, Sam.
I remember being very upset that they were running through a mall with dart guns and like no one seemed to care. And
that's right, because they're running through the crowds and I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to hit the other people, but they never do. They go into the movie theater.
Yeah, and they ambush them in the movie theater and they get out and they manage to like knock one out. And there's another one. They didn't expect two of them. And then they get into the car with Mr. Gray and there's a car chase. Is it Joe who goes all like, I want to murder people and starts shooting at them at the head, but they misses?
Yes.
So Joe goes all has the murder lust and he does not fulfill it. They eventually get away. And
do you remember what Mr. Gray says about the people who are shooting them?
That they're part of a terrorist organization called the Assassins?
Yes. Do you remember where they originated from?
Oh, the Crusades.
Hey, the Crusades. That's not important at all. I just felt like it needed to be restated.
You know how dumb that is? Yeah.
It doesn't come up once.
And the network is I remember I was mad about the names because the network is the name of the government organization trying to stop them, which is...
Absolutely.
Almost as bad as the librarians, honestly, in terms of names for secret organizations that are not doing what they're described as doing.
It is.
Anyway, so car chase doesn't matter. Mr. Gray takes them back to the Hardy house to says, stay here, boys, I gotta go. And the Hardys do not stay there.
But why did he take them back to the house?
So he could, to briefly let them be passed over to someone else who can take them to South Carolina?
Nice. Good memory recall.
I was either South or North Carolina. I got 50-50 chance.
Do you remember the code phrase to prove that it was somebody?
Mr. Gray was here. No. Mr. Gray sent me. Oh, Gray Man sent me.
It's terrible.
Terrible name. Terrible code phrase. And like, wanted to just take him to the airport right then to go to South Carolina. Why?
I cannot tell you. Oh, because he's off to London. He's like, gotta go, gotta fly.
Yeah, but he's going to the airport anyway. Take the Hardy Boys there and put them on the plane to South Carolina and then take your plane to London. Like, this is dumb.
Actually, the crazy part is he says they'll be here in a few minutes and then he leaves instead of just waiting 5 minutes for the rest of his crew to show up, which would have solved this whole problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mr. Gray is a terrible spy. And the fact they go back to their house anyway when he knows they're being targeted because the assassins are targeting their father because their father is doing security for Walker. And apparently through his security efforts, even though he's a detective, he found out about a bunch of plans the assassins have to do terrorist stuff around the United States. And this makes him a target. So they targeted his children instead of him.
Yeah. In retribution, I guess.
In retribution for something he had not done yet to try to make him be silent when they could have just killed him and solved their problems.
Absolutely. But, you know, it's more fun. Who cares if the dad gets attacked? It matters if the Hardy Boys get attacked. You're reading about them, not Fenton.
So the Hardy Boys use their elite hacker skills from 1987 to hack into the airport reservation kiosk, computers, whatever, and find that Mr. Gray has used his real Mr. Gray name, because apparently when you have a code name, you use it everywhere instead of like having compartmentalized code names so you can stay anonymous. Use his Mr. Gray code name to be on a plane, and they book themselves tickets on that plane and follow him to the airport and stay onto the plane and then take a seat right next to him because they're cheeky, I guess.
They're totally cheeky.
And then there's a terrorist on the plane, Danielle. Oh, no. A terrorist who's like pretending to be a caretaker for a person in a wheelchair goes into the bathroom.
Both of which are terrorists.
Yeah. Goes into a bathroom, comes out with a hand grenade and some mace, which is the most mismatched pair of weapons I've ever heard of in my life.
I love Hardy Boys, man.
Oh, I can tell why you love it. I am infuriated.
Every time I read them, though, I'm like, this is bananas. So fun.
So the Hardys foil the terrorists' plot of hijacking the plane and or blowing up. We learn later that their actual plan was to kill Mr. Gray. So I don't know why they didn't just do that first or something. Anyway, they land in London after saving the day, and they're not detained by anybody. I mean, they are detained, but Mr. Gray's like, hey, we gotta go. And then he leaves to go do a raid on the terrorist hideout in London they found. And the Hardy Boys sneak out and hop on the back of the truck that is going there.
Yeah, they do.
And they just sort of like let them come at that point. Like, all right, you made an effort. I guess you get to come along. Here. Yeah, basically, since you're here, let's all go into the terrorist hideout together. So they clear the place out. It's empty. And Mr. Gray like lifts up a secret hatch to some underground tunnels. But as he does so, is it Joe again? Who's like, no, it's booby trap, and tries to like save
Frank.
him. Frank, whatever. Again, they're the same person in my head.
Very different. Again.
I mean, I've yet to see any evidence besides that one is supposedly hot-headed, but they both seem like impulsive idiots to me, so.
Well, maybe you should read more Hardy Boys.
Danielle, why would I read more Hardy Boys so I can have you tell me all about them?
I don't know, because I'll probably do more, let's be honest.
Yeah, if I read Hardy Boys, then you would have nothing to do for this podcast. So the house explodes. The Hardys come off relatively unscathed. Mr. Gray is injured. They take him away. And then, like, this is where it gets real fuzzy for me, Danielle. I don't remember what happened. Like, they somehow...
Because you don't remember the whole last, 10 pages of the summary?
10 pages of the book or 10 pages of your notes?
10 pages of the book.
No, of course not. Which is, something about they end up being interrogated, but their father makes a call and gets them out of it?
No.
No?
No. Well, I was really wrong. Good job.
Yeah, I got nothing.
You're doing so well up until then.
I got every detail up until that last 10 pages where I was like, I don't know what's happening. This is ending.
So they end up back at the British intelligence, where they meet the head of the British intelligence, Nigel Folliot.
Oh, I remember the most British name ever, yes. Yeah. This book is amazingly stereotypical.
It is. And Sir Nigel's like, hey, you're here. What are we going to do with you? And they just really wanted to go back to Bayport. And he's like, that's cool. Let's do that. And they send them back. But before they can do that, before they can leave the intelligence agency, they hear their dad in the hallway. And they're not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be in
I knew
South
the
Carolina.
dad played into it somehow. He was there in some capacity.
Yeah. And so they end up getting knock out the back.
Which, again, is crazy. Why? I mean, I guess British intelligence would be very embarrassed that they let two, I'm going to say, mediocre young adults out with them at every turn.
Oh, sure. I think that's the reason. But then also, they also make the Hardys promise not to tell anybody anything. Secret swear.
Oh, pinky swear.
Pinky swear.
That's how intelligence services work. Ugh.
And they get sent back to Bayport because the concept is, well, there can't possibly be any assassins there because they were all back in London. Which again, is the dumbest thing because there was already a car bomb there like weeks ago. 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
A couple of days, I think.
I don't know what the timeline of this book is. It jumps around so quickly.
It does. It's a very fast-moving book. So they're supposed to go back, and then hopefully their dad won't notice, even though he's going to be back in a week, and totally will notice that they're not there.
Yeah, it's very stupid.
And then do you remember what they realized right at the very end of the chapter before we stopped?
The bullet is in London.
No. That's not what they realized.
I remember. I get nothing.
Frank decides that the reason the car was blown up was because it was a...
yellow sedan.
No, it was a dress rehearsal. They wanted to see how it was going to work. You don't remember that?
No, I was.
You were so mad.
I think I was so mad. I blocked it out because I am livid.
They decided that it was probably just a dress rehearsal. That was the way they're going to kill Philip Walker.
But why do a
on the
dress
Saturday
rehearsal?
Appearance. I don't know, Sam. That's what you were mad about.
And now they're going to go back to protect Walker. Do they tell the intelligence agency that there's a dress rehearsal because they're there?
Do they what?
Do the Hardys say, hey, we figured out it's a dress rehearsal. The terrorists are in Bayport?
No, they're on the plane back, I think, when they have this realization.
Oh, well, I guess phones didn't exist in 1987, so oh well.
And we'll get there because I have a comment on it.
All right, Danielle. I am itching with anticipation for how this cliffhanger of a book is going to wrap up with the Hardy Boys foiling the most incompetent terrorists from the Middle Ages in the world.
They are very incompetent, as you'll soon see on Book Retorts.
On Book Retorts, where we have incompetence of all kinds from the hosts and from the media.
All right, currently on the Hardy Boys, they arrive home. They're back in Bayport, and Callie picks them up from the airport. Callie,
she exists, right? Yes. Yeah, I remember.
Driving them straight to the police station because they're, going to talk to the police.
Am I there? Am I there to interrogate them? Yeah.
Maybe. So they asked to see the man in charge of the security for Saturday's rally at the mall.
Their father. It's their father.
I know. I guess they're working with the local police. He's I assume maybe private detail. It's very confusing when I was reading this book. So it turns out it's Samuel Butler.
Hey, I got your back. Walker's going to be dead in a week. No problem.
Apparently it's his specialty. He ran the detail that guarded the UN in New York.
Cool.
I'm just saying, little factoid there about Samuel Butler.
Oh, Mr. Butler, you're so dreamy.
So Joe groans and is like, does anybody even like this guy? To the cop that's telling them that this man's
that's
in
just
charge.
being mean. He may have you, but doesn't mean you have to rag on his character as a human being.
Well, he wasn't very nice to them either. It wasn't like he said it nicely.
Sure, but be the bigger man there, Joe. You said Joe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it is Joe.
Every time you say one of their names, Danielle, I immediately forget which one you mentioned. I do not know what it is in my brain.
Think harder.
I can never comprehend the nanosecond after you finish telling me their name, it's gone.
You did pretty well in the summary.
Well, I remember that there's a Frank and a Joe. I don't remember which one's which, though.
I know, but you got it mostly right.
I just guessed Joe every time. That was a trick.
Joe is very heavy in this book. His girlfriend did die.
That's my strategy. I'm assuming it's always Joe.
All right. Well, Joe says to this other cop, does anybody even like this guy? And the cop, for absolutely no reason that you should ever talk to a young kid about this, admits that everybody actually hates him. He's not the best guy.
What?
Which is crazy.
Someone's like, hey, are you a jerk? He's like, yeah, I'm a jerk. Everyone hates me. Oof.
He didn't say that. The cop said it. The other cop that they were with.
Oh, that's worse. That's much worse.
Yeah, one of his coworkers is like, yeah, he's a jerk.
That's an HR complaint.
It actually gets cut off where they use a swear word, which is funny. Anyway, and I assume the reason that the staff there don't like him is because as soon as he sees the Hardy, he's like, I told you not to leave town, and you immediately did.
Which is valid.
Yes, it is. But then he says, maybe some of the dumb hicks around here will take that, but not a real cop. So I assume that's why his coworkers don't like him.
That's less valid. Telling the suspect not to leave town, totally valid. Calling all your coworkers dumb hicks, not okay.
Not okay. So they go over the information they found with him anyway, and how they think Al Rusasa, as you might remember, that's the supposed terrorist
the bullet.
name.
The bullet. He's the bullet.
Yeah, he's the bullet. And will hit this event, and they suggest that he searches the mall because they think that he's like storing stuff there, hiding there.
No.
I don't know, the mall.
Why the mall?
Involved.
That's where you're going to blow up. If you're going to blow up the mall, don't make your base the mall.
So Butler is like, let me get this straight. You think this guy blew up your girlfriend just to get in some practice before killing Philip Walker, and I should get every cop in town to search the mall before this big rally.
To be fair, that's the right, yes, that is the right question. Like, what moron does a rehearsal bombing of some random girlfriend of some children of the security detail of the guy he wants to kill?
Absolutely. I am 100% on his side, for Butler's side for this, even though I don't like Butler.
No, I mean, if Butler wasn't painted as just an absolute tool, he would be the person, like, that's why they had to paint him as a tool, because he's the one like, yeah, he's the most reasonable person here, everyone should be listening to him, but no, you have to do a character assassination on him so that he isn't likable, so you don't realize that he's the one to make sense in this book.
That's quite possible. So he asks if they have any proof, and they don't, because they just promised not to tell them anything that they learned from British intelligence. So
yeah, or call them, BS. That's what I call British Intelligence Services. BIS. Yeah, I call it BS for short. Call them up and tell them to do something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, you think they'd be able to, like, tip them off or something. So they leave the office and decide to go search out for the chief of police, who they're, well acquainted with, and he's left for the day. Bummer.
So I guess he doesn't have a phone either. I get this was 1987, his cell phones weren't a thing, but telephones still existed, or knocking on their home addresses.
Absolutely. So what they end up doing is they're talking to Callie, who's waiting out in the lobby, and they're like, hey, did you just see the chief leave? And she's like, yeah, he just left a few minutes ago. And they're like, great, let's go after him. And so they race, they speed. They speed up to him and flash their lights so that he'll pull over. Like,
there's a serial killer in the back of your car type thing.
And they're speeding, so they should really get a ticket.
That'd be the funniest thing ever. Like, thank you for telling me about the terrorist plot. Here's a ticket for speeding.
So the chief gets out of the car. He's like, what are you two doing here? And he ends up agreeing with Butler, just more nicely.
Which,
he's like,
again,
oh, you don't need proof. And
is the correct response of, practice bombings?
That's what they're doing, Sam.
I mean, I know they're doing it. My point is they shouldn't be doing it, and no one in their right mind would believe that terrorists were doing practice bombings of...
That's why it's such a smart thing to do.
The children of the girlfriend of the children of the security detail of the guy they want to kill.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm in that scene in Spaceballs about, brothers, cousins, former roommate thing.
Okay. Not that complicated.
It is.
As the police chief's car disappears ahead of them, and they're kind of problem solving on the side of the road, they're like, well, the chief won't believe us, so what else can we do? Suddenly, a sedan with no lights.
Don't you have Mr. Gray's business card? I'm just sorry.
I know. Did you think you'd just call?
Right. You have his business. He gave you a card to contact him.
I mean, he's in the hospital, but they could still, I'm sure, get in contact with somebody.
I'm sure if you call the number, it's a security agency, someone's going to pick up, oh, well, that guy's super high-tech, secure number got dialed. We'll go to voicemail. It's probably not important. No, there's always somebody monitoring those lines.
Yeah, nope, they don't do that, at least not yet.
Of course.
And a sedan with no lights appears heading towards them on this slightly abandoned road.
It's either the terrorists or the network.
It is. And so they split up on the road, jump away from the car, but the car swerves towards Frank, and then Joe runs at him, doing a flying tackle and pushing him out of the way just in time.
And apparently Frank was incapable of moving his own legs.
He was where he ran, he wasn't able to move any other direction. The car was just going to hit him or not.
So then how did Joe knock him out of the way if he was trapped?
I don't know, Sam. You got to read the book. It does not make sense to me either. So the point is, he couldn't jump far enough away, and Joe managed to get there and tackle him just far enough away that the car
didn't have time to move himself out of the way, but there was enough time for Joe to get there and move him out of the way.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't. All right. That's the least stupid thing I've heard so far in this book, so let's move on.
So they pile into the car. The other car is racing off. They pile into their own car and they speed off after the one that tried to hit them.
I'm sorry. I gotta pause here for a second. These terrorists are idiots. If you're planning something bigger, the bombing of Walker, for instance, the assassination of Walker, why waste your time and reveal your hand and take risks by trying to kill these two pipsqueaks?
no idea.
Like, you've already done your practice bombing. Sure, fine. You did the rehearsal. Why then are you, like, you're risking your big plan to deal with these two people nobody's believing and cannot hurt you?
Maybe because they're afraid maybe they don't know all of that yet. Maybe they just know that they seem to be on to them and they need to get rid of them.
Sure. I mean, no, but go for it.
So up ahead in the dark, they know that this stretch of road only has one turnoff, and it's kind of like it's hard to find. It's something that only locals can find. It's used for Lover's Lane a lot.
Ooh.
I know. So they're like, okay, well, this is good. We've got him cornered, essentially. Like, this guy up ahead of us is the chief of police is ahead of them, and we're behind him. So, like, where's he going to go? And as they manage to, and he doesn't have his lights on again. So as they manage to pull up to where he probably should be, he's not there. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, no, they did a Scooby-Doo and drove into the side of a cliff, which is actually just like a mechanical door that somehow Old Man McGee wired up in his spare time.
Absolutely. How did you know?
I've seen cartoons, Danielle.
Okay, well, to their surprise, the car had disappeared down the Lover's Lane turnout, which they were not expecting, and they U-turned wildly back to find him, but the car has vanished.
So is this an inside job? Is it Callie? Is Callie the terrorist?
Callie's in the car with them, so that seems unlikely.
No, that's the
maybe it's
thing.
Iola.
Ooh, she's not actually dead. She faked her death and is actually the terrorist trying to kill Walker. Perfect.
Could be. You don't know.
Danielle, at this point, I would not be surprised by literally anything.
So they rehash the events, thinking that obviously the person in the car, as you said, must be an inside job. They must have followed them not only to the police station. Or maybe they scouted the place or whatever. Well, they seem to know local terms. Sam, it's always horses, not zebras. Okay.
It's always zebras, not horses, Danielle. Because it's always it's always the one that's like, it has to be a local when like maps exist and someone could just also have seen that already or something. I don't know.
Yes, but it's always a local. That's just how it works.
Okay.
And so
it's a zebra.
Right.
No, an actual zebra. Driving around as a horse, a little zebra in a car, trying to run them over.
The baseball cap on, so nobody can tell it's a zebra.
Yeah, the baseball cap, that's going to cover it up. What's all your stripes? Oh, it's a skin condition. Don't worry about it.
Okay, but yeah, imagine if you were driving past something, you saw a zebra with a baseball cap on in a car. First off, nobody would believe you, so that's a great idea.
Danielle, I don't think the part of that story they wouldn't believe is the baseball cap. They'd be like, the zebra driving the car is enough. But no, okay.
I know.
With a baseball cap, now that's unbelievable.
But it's like an extra piece of whimsy that doesn't need to exist, so it's so fun. It's like not just like I saw a zebra driving a car, it's like a zebra and a baseball cap driving a car, and you're like, that's weird.
Okay. Well, if I ever need to like create an extra bit of whimsy in my life, Danielle, I'll come to you for the zebra baseball cap scenario.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
It's not.
So obviously they think it might be somebody local, or at least seems to know the local turnoffs, and it makes them wonder if Al Rasasa has a local accomplice. They suggest warning Walker, but imagine that he won't back down since his entire campaign rests on anti-terrorism.
Yeah, but maybe skip Bayport, which is an insignificant little town, apparently.
Yeah, I don't even know why he's going to Bayport.
Yeah, exactly.
They make it sound like it's really important.
All you have to do is like, we'll hit Bayport later. So there was a scheduling conflict. We'll come back to Bayport on our way. And like the 10 people in this town who would actually go to the rally can just be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a mid-sized town, and that's like, I don't know how the state's set up or where exactly they are.
It's not important is the point.
It's not. And they don't think that calling Britain would help anything.
Why?
I don't know.
You were so sad when you said that. Like, I don't know.
I was looking through my notes to see if I had something that made sense, and I was like, I wonder if it made sense in the book, and I just didn't write it down.
We can't call the agency that's actually tracking these people and want information on them because Daddy would get mad?
I don't know. So Frank suggests just bypassing all of the adults entirely and searching them all themselves. They do not call them the adults. I did.
Well, obviously that's their solution, because their solution is, hey, we can handle terrorists on our own. We're two incompetent children. So
in the car, after some unnecessary sexist remarks about girls being helpless that Callie does not put up with.
Good. I'm glad.
From Joe.
The one time sexism is not put up with in this book. All other times it's fine, but
Callie's pretty kick butt. They decide that it's time to get the old gang together. This gang involves Chet and Tony. Tony, you might remember, is the Mr. Pizza manager.
Wait, so their old gang is, you're not talking about like their boy detective club. You're talking about the mall
friends,
groups.
Just a group of friends that always ends up solving all the mysteries together.
So Tony,
they're not really.
Is Tony in the other? Is Tony like a main character in the Hardyverse?
In like the originals?
I don't know any of them.
Yeah, I think he's in the originals. Chet's definitely in the originals. Tony, I think, is as well.
So these are they actually end up helping them solve mysteries. Chet and
they're
Tony,
usually
the
like
pizza man.
It's like whenever the plot needs extra people.
Danielle,
usually, or they're like on vacation or
do
something.
me a favor. Map the Hardy characters onto the Archie characters so I know who's who.
No.
What?
I don't think you could compare them that
Frank
well.
and Joe are Archie. They're the main characters, right? And then you have like
they're
Moose
just both Archie.
and Jughead, or like is Chet like Jughead the friend?
No.
I'm trying here, Daniel. These are two things I don't. You haven't heard of these franchises.
They're way
I
different.
don't.
They're really different characters, Sam.
I'm talking about archetypes, Danielle, not characters.
I know, but they aren't similar archetypes.
All right. Well, whatever.
Okay.
Fine.
Well,
I tried to put it in terms for you.
I appreciate that, but I already know who all the characters are, so it's really just you that's having a hard time. Do you want to pick another franchise that you're more familiar with, and I can try and match them up? That doesn't help.
Star Trek.
Yeah, I'll think on it.
Hyperion.
No.
I'd like to see which one's the strike.
So, Tony, you might remember.
Tony's
manager,
the strike. Got
Mr.
it.
Pizza. Tony's the strike. Manager, Mr. Pizza. Chet is Iola's brother, the one who died in the explosion.
So Chet's all like, I'm totally cool with the revenge spree.
Yeah. Well, they were like super awkward when they meet. He's like, I'm so sorry that your girlfriend probably got killed because of me.
You mean your sister?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Your sister got killed because of me.
That was a different book, Danielle. That's Flowers in the Attic or something.
So here's the plan. During Mr. Pizza's rush hour, they get Tony to let them into the back of the restaurant.
During Mr. Pizza's rush hour is when we're going to get the terrorists. The Mr. Pizza plan. That's this linchpin of terrorist catching.
Okay, you know what? Pizza places do not have cute names. Like, they're pizza places. So they get Tony to let them into the back of the restaurant, and they hide out in a storeroom. And after the night shift ends, closing shift, Tony doubles back after to meet up with them and let them free.
So he basically, like, hides them so they can go run around the mall after dark.
Absolutely. But the best part, Sam, there are guard dogs.
What?
There are guard dogs.
Just running around the mall, random guard dogs, like
yes.
Wolfenstein,
like
the video game?
They literally just, like, let them out, and they just wander.
That's not how guard dogs work. B, in a mall full of food, like there's a food court in that mall. Those dogs are going one place and one place only, straight to those trash bins.
Yeah, there's guard dogs, so they brought dart guns.
The Hardys brought tranquilizer dart guns for the dogs.
Yeah, they knew about the dogs.
Also, tranquilizer darts are like, you have to be specifically weighted, otherwise you're going to kill the animal. That's sedation. Like,
no, sedation. One size fits all.
Okay. I'm so mad about these dogs and dart guns. Why are the dart guns coming back? Dart guns were not cool the first time. Don't bring back the dart guns.
Because I think it's Frank who's like, I got the idea from the bad guys.
Which again, why did they have the idea? It was a dumb idea.
It's a great idea.
I'm so mad about the mall guard dogs, Danielle.
I was happy. So first up, obviously, they're searching the mall. They're trying to find the dogs because obviously those are the biggest risk right now.
The dogs, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they're looking for the dogs, but to their surprise, when they finally come across one, it's already fast asleep. It's drugged with a dart.
Would none of the other human guards notice those sleeping dogs?
Apparently not yet.
Because if I was a terrorist hiding out in a mall and I was a guarding that mall, I kept on finding out my dogs were taking naps all the time. Might be suspicious.
I don't know. Maybe there's one guard and a bunch of guard dogs, Sam. I don't know.
Dang cheap malls and their cheap guard policies.
So they know someone else is in the mall. So they turn off their flashlights and they're searching the rest of the area when they hear one of... Oh my gosh.
Danielle, you asked me to do this. I'm going to do this.
Like, interrupt sentences.
Sorry, but it's happening. I want to imagine there's no guards at all in this mall, and it's just dogs.
Just our dogs, maybe.
And the question is, how are they going to call in? Like, if there's like a robber, like, are they going to like have to rope to like a phone and like dial it with their nose and be like, bark, bark? It's robbers, bark, bark. What is it, boy?
Barking.
What is it? Did little Timmy fall on the well? Is there a robber in the Spencer's Gifts?
Maybe the barking triggers something on a collar.
Okay. Hilarious. I just wanted to be a mall and full. I would imagine like they just let the guard dogs out and they like leave, and there's no one in the mall but dogs.
Okay, I'm pretty sure there's not. They don't come across a single guard for the rest of the story.
Excellent. So. That is the truth.
So they hear one of the grills opening, the ones that cover the front of the store, and it's in front of Builder's Paradise, and someone is exiting with bags of things over their shoulders and wire also over one shoulder.
Okay, I guess they're getting plastic explosives from Builder's Paradise. I mean, if you want to get plastic explosives, Build-A-Bear is where you want to go.
Yes, of course. Maybe, was Build-A-Bear around in 87?
Who cares? It's just way to make my joke fall flat, Danielle.
So, for reasons I don't understand, Joe yells, "Al Rusasa!" as loud as humanly possible and aims his dart gun, hoping that startling him will get him a clean shot.
Wait, as opposed to maybe taking a clean shot on a person who doesn't know you're there?
I don't know. It's so funny.
These guys are morons.
Joe.
Like, I know the Hardy Boys are supposed to be like, these boy detectives, but like, they're legitimately idiots in this book. Like, I know that we make fun of convoluted plans, but everything they've done is a decision that no human being with an ounce of sense would make.
Well, Joe's in a bad place right now.
I don't care. It's still stupid.
So he shoots his dart gun, but he only manages to hit the wire, and the man drops some of the bags, turns around and begins to run, dodging behind a planter and pulling out his own dart gun.
Also, okay. I'm sorry, Danielle, but first off, would a dog-sized tranquilizer dart have any effect on a human? Who knows?
Apparently.
2, dueling dart guns in the mall? Why do these terrorists have dart guns?
Because it's safer than guns?
They're terrorists! What are they doing with safety?
Maybe they're just not wanting, to murder all the people.
Danielle, they planted a car bomb in a crowd!
I don't know.
Oh, the terrorists are worried about killing people, so they're using dart guns, which are somehow safer than bullets?
Well, yeah, because they don't kill anybody when they hit you.
Well, they're poisoned, though, because you saw they killed the guard in the mall, the earlier part.
I don't think he died. Oh, did he?
I don't know. You told me he died. I asked you if they were poisoned or tranquilizer guns, and you said they were poisoned.
Okay, well, I mean, they could be tranquilizers. I think you asked if it was a real gun or a trank gun. I said it was a trank gun. It could just be maybe they used some kind of dipped in frog goo trank. I don't know, Sam.
Yeah, some poison dart frogs. Anyway, I'm so angry about these dart guns, Danielle. I think if this was a movie, it'd be they're trying to do a PG rating kind of thing where they don't want actually real violence. But for a book, nonsense.
So the man shoots at them and he hits Chet, who drops to the ground.
Dead.
Don't worry, he's alive. No, Chet doesn't die. They can't kill Chet after they just killed Iola.
That'd be funny. Also, they're terrorists. They should kill anyone they want to. I mean, again, I'm not saying gay terrorism. I'm saying they don't have any morals for murder is the point.
Agreed. So he gets away, obviously, as all this is happening. And they look at the bags he dropped, which are full of plastic explosive.
This random hardware store in the mall is carrying.
Okay, well, I'm assuming he probably had them with him, and then he was probably getting other stuff from the store to finish up his plans. Okay,
just to be clear, because I did look it up to be sure, plastic explosives require a special detonator to explode. You need another explosive they don't just explode if you shock them with a taser or something.
Yes, we know. We'll get there.
Okay, good.
So in the distance, they hear another grill opening, and they run towards it, and Joe manages to dive towards it and get his flashlight under it just before it can lock back into place. This time it's to a department store.
So they went from hardware store to department store. They're mannequins. They're building the plastic explosives out of mannequins because they're made of plastic.
No, I think they're in the department store because it has a lot of exits to the street, and who knows.
I like my idea better.
They manage to get into the department store, and they chase after who we assume is Al Rusasa. Darts firing back and forth.
Okay,
and they follow him through the store. Yes.
I should have brought that up earlier, but this is Al Rusasa, the leader of this terror organization in Bayport, to do the murder of Walker, a man who is not yet president of the United States and may never be.
Yes, theoretically.
Why? Why is the head honcho here instead of at his headquarters in this secret base somewhere, masterminding this stuff?
I mean, I imagine from that first part of the book, you might recall that he was planning I don't think he's in charge, but he's planning to do a bunch of terrorism acts across the United States.
Sure. By himself? On his own?
I think he had a couple, I think he was waiting for the people on the plane, and now London's shut down, so none of the other assassins can get out. I think some of his plans went awry.
A one-man terrorism crew.
Maybe. It's very unclear in the book. But that was what he was supposed to be doing, but at some point he got orders to kill this guy, and it's kind of interrupted what he was doing previously. That's kind of what's suggested in the book, or at least what I was reading into it.
It's all very stupid, but go on.
It is. I'm not disagreeing. So they follow him through the store and are surprised when he heads for service stairs and a door to the sub-basement as if he knows where it is. And they deduce that it must be his hideout, because otherwise, why would he know about it?
Sure. Also, another thought about why Bayport sucks.
Yes.
Why, if they're planning to blow up this Walker guy, are they doing it here instead of at any one of his other million, presumably, stops that he has on his campaign tour?
Because if they didn't do it in Bayport, the Hardy Boys wouldn't be involved.
Danielle, that's a book answer. I want the terrorist answer.
I don't know. This just must have been the place.
Again, terrorism is about shock and, like, attention. So you want to do it in, like, the biggest place to get the most attention and do the most damage.
Well, maybe, Sam, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Bayport's near New York City, so maybe it's just, like,
Bayport
a big
is the
venue.
Like, biggest city and the most important, like, oh, Bayport, the heart of America, where everyone knows about it. All the movies are set there, and it's the most important place in the country.
I mean, I know where I lived when I was a kid was not a major city, and we occasionally had, like, some pretty important political figures come through and do rallies and stuff.
I'm not saying they wouldn't do a rally there. I'm saying if you're going to pick the one place to do your terrorism, why?
Maybe it's because it's so low-key, it's a lot easier to infiltrate and, like, get bombs into a mall than it would be at, like, Mall of America or something.
Untrue, because, like, small towns where everyone knows each other, like, it's easier to blend into a larger city.
Sure, but maybe there's way less security.
I don't know. I mean, either way,
or maybe it's somebody that's already in town that people know, so they feel like they, like,
well, I'm just saying, arguments can be made either way, and I doubt the book provides an explanation.
No, it does not.
Okay, then.
So, they follow, I was like, they can't see him, but they know he went back down to the sub-basement, so they're trying to explore it, trying to find him. They finally come across an abandoned storeroom that has a light on, and it's filled with plastic explosives, electronic equipment, ammunition, and an Uzi submachine gun.
But they somehow snuck all this into Bayport,
into the mall.
And no one's like, well, what are those barrels of weapons? Fine by me. The dogs don't seem to mind.
I mean, obviously, he's been knocking out the dogs every night, and nobody seems to have noticed for reasons.
Because there are no humans in this mall. It's a perfect security system. It's only dogs, no people. Save a lot of money. But oh no, exactly. The dogs get knocked out. No one thought about that.
So Joe's upset because they seem to have lost him, but Frank is like, well, now we have a lot of evidence, so this is perfect. Like, we can... Though really, if you were already at risk for somebody thinking that you were the person who murdered Iola, and then you're like, hey, we just happened to find this room full of plastic explosives, like, I'm not sure they'd believe you.
Sure. I mean, their whole plan is done to begin with, but why stop there?
I don't know. So Frank is like, oh, we've got evidence, so this is great. And they are interrupted by a voice at the doorway congratulating them on their hard work. And it's Butler. Samuel Butler.
Let me guess. Butler is the inside person.
We'll find out. Joe asks him if he's had second thoughts, like he actually decided to do his job and search them all. Because Joe's sassy. And Butler is like, not exactly, and steps into the light of the room, and he's holding an Uzi.
Oh no!
And he says, he says, you came looking for Al Rusasa. Well, now he has found you.
So, Samuel Butler is Al Rusasa.
Absolutely.
Is he ever described once? I'm presuming, because this is a fairly recent book from the 1980s, that this is supposed to be a Middle Eastern terrorist organization.
You know what? In my memory of reading this, to be fair, I probably skimmed some of it because it's an easy read. I don't remember a specific description of it. I think he had darker hair, but they didn't I don't think they said anything specific. I know they mentioned at one point that he spoke English in like a clipped, very structured way that nobody thought was like a particular accent. They didn't sound like he had an accent from anywhere.
All right. So this really is an indictment of the police hiring process if they didn't bother to do a background check on a very well-known terrorist.
That's explained later, actually, surprisingly.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess airtight book. I retract all complaints.
Yep. I know. They end up rehashing all the events because monologuing. So, yes, Butler is responsible for everything, and they've put a lot of crimps in his plan by running all over the place. And he was the one that followed them down the road, and he knew about Lover's Lane because he's been a cop there for a little while. Also, Samuel Butler is real, or was, but he liquidated him, quote unquote.
So he put him in a blender.
And took over his life. This is the quote. He said, that was easy. The hard part was finding a policeman with the right record, the right build, the right looks, and who was starting a new job.
That's all very coincidental.
And also he got plastic surgery, so he would look more like him.
This is so complicated a plan for killing a presidential candidate who is largely irrelevant.
I know. It's amazing to me. So, as I said, Butler's monologuing.
Of course he is.
And
just
he
shoot
says
him.
all was going fine until he was ordered to kill Philip Walker. And then their father interfered because he was gathering information on the assassins. And when he was told to punish, quote unquote, Fenton Hardy, he decided to be nice just to kill off his kids. But stupid Iola died instead.
He's a terrible terrorist, frankly. Like, first off, this plan is so involved to kill a person who does not matter and is not a direct threat to them. And B, when he was told to correct the problem, he failed spectacularly.
He's a terrible assassin. What happens? So, as he's talking about Iola dying and how she got in the way, it was supposed to be them, Joe rushes him, but Butler gets one up on him and takes him down, and he ends up binding their arms and legs and leaves them in the room as he goes about his... Shoot her! So
you want them dead anyway, just shoot them!
Okay, he hasn't done that. He's leaving them binded
while
he finishes up his construction of his blow-up device.
Is that what they call it, the blow-up device?
I know.
The explodey thingamajiggy. little gadget
stuff.
boom boom.
So he explains that the pillar in the center of the room is a support pillar that happens to be below the spot where the podium for Walker will be. So that's where he's putting all his...
Because you explode one pillar, sure. The floor collapses, maybe. That doesn't guarantee he's dead.
Well, that's how they're going to blow him up, Sam.
There's even a lot to the whims of collapsing buildings if it collapses.
And he bemoans the fact that instead of his extra bombs that he was planning to set around the mall, it's assumedly for funsies, I think, for chaotic diversion, he now has to spend that time cleaning up the stupid department store because everybody will know something's awry if they look and see all the stuff from the fight.
How long does it take to get the department store? Also, kill the Hardys!
No, he locks them in there instead of killing them for no reason whatsoever.
See, my thought is, like, when you have, boy detectives or whatever, the whole point is supposed to be very clever, and they're supposed to succeed on the merits of their wit and insight. Like Sherlock Holmes is fun because he sees things others don't and makes connections and uses his brains to solve problems. Mm-hmm. The Hardy Boys here solve no problems, and it's merely the incompetence of their adversaries that lets them succeed.
Sometimes. Depends on the story.
Well, in the only story I'm familiar with so far.
Well, we'll give you a nice run through, Sam.
Okay.
He also, in case you were worried about Chet, which you have not asked about.
I don't care.
He puts Chet in there, who's just starting to wake up from his dart dose.
Let's kill Chet too. You don't even dart dart them all then. Dart them all again.
I agree. They should have just darted them.
And then killed them. We got an Uzi. Uzify them.
Callie, the only smart one in the group, is the one who kept her hands pried as far apart as possible when the guy was trying to tie them up.
I forgot she was there entirely.
I know, so she has a little bit of give in her bands. So after much ado and crying and support from everybody, she manages to finally slip free of her bonds.
Why is she crying?
Because it hurts, Sam, and it's hard to get out.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
And she's a girl, okay? Jeez.
That's more I'm getting at, Danielle.
Joe is super offended that a girl is smarter than they are. Callie tells him to shut up.
To be fair, they're on a pretty low end of the bell curve, in my opinion.
Callie's like, a good thing I came with you then, huh? She frees everybody, but to their dismay, the door is locked, and it's a very strong door. They can't get out.
Oh, no. Why not just take the detonator out of the plastic explosive and you're fine?
Hey, they're going to blow up the door, Sam. That's what they decide to do.
That's not the safe answer. That's not the safe answer. You're in a tiny room with barrels of plastic explosive and you're going to blow up a door. No. Just take the detonator off.
I don't think it's super tiny, to be fair. I think it's a medium-sized room.
Whatever. The point is just take the detonators out. The things won't explode at all. Al Rusasa will come back saying, what's going on? You jump them or whatever. Like, crazy.
Okay. But first, they form a human pyramid to reach the top of the pile where the detonator is with the alarm.
Okay, I have no response to that, Danielle. Human pyramid, sure, they're all doing their cheer routine. Fine.
Go team! Frank gets to the top because he's the smart one.
Hardys!
Woo-woo! Frank
Give me an
H.
Give me an Artie! That's all I got. I don't know cheers.
Hardy.
We're the Hardys, yes we are. We can stop Al Rusasar.
Oh, no.
That was bad. That was bad.
So again, Frank gets the top because he's a smart one, and he spends a very long time, pages, disconnecting circuits and getting...
He spends pages on him, like, pulling apart these detonators?
Like a solid 2 pages of them, like, resting and then climbing back up and resting and climbing back up. And he gets down to the last 3 buried detonators. As Frank is working on the last detonator, Chet finally gives way to the after effects of the dart and starts to pass out again, swaying the whole pyramid.
Oh no, good thing that plastic explosives are not particularly fragile. She can just knock the whole thing over, it'd be fine.
Frank lurches at the top, accidentally pulling the last wire free, and the countdown begins on the timer. Oh no!
Is that how detonators work? It's not detonators. Okay.
It's a tamper alarm. It's a tamper alarm, he says.
Okay, sure, tamper. Fine, yes, it's a movie, whatever. I mean, it's like in movies, nothing makes sense.
He's like, it's a tamper alarm and it's about to blow! And he grabs the timer and yells, or detonator, whatever. He yells for everybody to get down, hiding, and they all hide behind the pillar, and he rushes the detonator to the door, slaps it around the doorknob, and runs for it. And behind him, the door erupts!
Yay. Kaboomy. Wait, I didn't hear that? No, it cut out. I got the noise cancellation missed. What'd you say? Okay, so it was steam that the detonator let off. It was a bunch of steam.
I did boom, too.
Okay.
Everybody's okay! The door is blown open, and they rush upstairs to a packed mall where the rally has started above them.
So...
I don't know how long they were in this.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Place.
Like, they're in the middle
apparently.
of the night, like at least 12 hours or something. Did no one hear the explosion in the whole mall?
Apparently not. He had pulled a bunch of it was only one of the detonators or something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize plastic explosive got quiet. That had a silent setting for the plastic explosives.
They make it out. It's a sub-basement. It's very low in the ground.
So one pillar in the sub-basement is somehow going to make the whole building collapse all the way up to the top floors?
Well, apparently the pillar was right below wherever the podium was. I don't know how far below there, but apparently blowing the door had no effect.
Far enough below that they didn't hear the explosive, but not
it's really
far enough that it doesn't...
mall.
Okay.
There's a band. There's like people
I forgot about
everywhere.
the band that they brought back for the second time. The dress rehearsal wasn't enough.
Yes. Well, why would they be there for dress rehearsal if they weren't there for the actual main event, Sam?
You got me there, Danielle. I forgot about the purpose of a dress rehearsal.
So they make their way through the crowds trying to find some, security, and finally find the police escort for Walker, accompanied by their dad and Samuel Butler. And Joe's like, "Stop that man!" Which I'm sure would totally work in real life.
Stop that Butler! He's buttled his last buttle.
He's buttled his last Butler. And Butler is shocked to see them, and he turns toward Walker, but finds Fenton Hardy standing in the way, and I assume that's literally the only person who might believe his son's running out and be like, "Stop that man!"
Literally anyone else would be like, "What? What are you talking about, you dirty children?"
Well, it's all the cops do. They're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, they don't do anything.
Yeah, reasonable.
So Joe runs forward, almost reaching Butler, but Butler dives through the police escort into the crowd, and the cops tackle the Hardy boys. They deserve that.
Yeah, no kidding. They deserve a lot more than that, frankly.
They yell at their dad, like, "Watch out for Butler, he's one of the assassins." And Fenton asks questions, like, "How do you know about the assassans? Where did you learn about them? Why are you still in Bayport?"
Later. There's this is where the kids get it. They're morons all the way up the family tree.
Well, what I wrote in my notes was, which seems not important in this moment, these questions.
Yeah, no kidding.
Go get the guy who's running away. Obviously, he did something wrong or he wouldn't be running away. They explain that they started to investigate Ayala's murder and who Butler is, and that there's a ton of plastic explosives
doing this, and he gets away
under the podium. Yeah. And Fenton's like, "The bullet!" and calls orders out to security detail to go.
I wanted to be called something like El Bullet.
El Bullet. Then they take Walker down to the sub-basement for reasons, to show him the plastic explosives.
Hey, Mr. Walker, let's bring you to these dangerous, potentially explosive things to show you how good we are. They're like a cat that shows you the fresh kill. Like, look, aren't you proud of me?
It's wild. And they try to convince him that he has to cancel his rally because, there's an assassin
There's a
at large.
bomb. Don't cancel the rally. Evacuate the mall. There's a bomb.
Right. But the bomb's already been technically dismantled because they blew it up.
The detonator's removed, but there's still plastic explosive and maybe more bombs. We don't know if the bullet wasn't a moron. He wouldn't put all his bombs in one basket.
Well, he does say earlier, I was going to put more in the mall, but
and then maybe he did. Maybe he got cleaned up quickly and they put more around.
Nope, they never talked about that.
All right, fine.
Doesn't matter though, because Walker's like, "I can't do that. That's political suicide. I've got to make this speech now. Like, I'm anti-terrorism."
Oh, sorry, political suicide to protect your citizenry, your constituents, by getting them away from the bomb, the unexploded bomb,
or even an assassin who may or may not hit you and could hit innocent bystanders. Yes.
Oh. These people are idiots. That's how politics work. I mean, I know politics in America are broken, but that's the dumbest thing I've heard in my life.
So they do move forward with the event, tightening security, and Fenton's upset about the fact. He's like, basically like, oh, it's a shame that he's not an official candidate yet, or we would have Secret Service to help. And
he's not even an official candidate yet, and they're targeting him?
Yeah, I don't know.
This person is irrelevant. That's like me saying, I'm going to make a speech in the mall about anti-terrorism, and then like Al-Qaeda going like, we have to kill Sam. He's the most important person in the world right now.
Well, good thing for Frank and Joe. He's like, well, Dad, you've got us. Which doesn't
that's
seem
even
helpful.
worse. Then we're in real trouble.
I'm sure Fenton's like, great, sons, go look for him.
You're already kidnapped once and only Callie managed to save your dumb butts.
So all the kids, young adults, form their own team and go out to keep an eye out for them. And the speech goes on, and they're monitoring the area from above. And I think Joe's like in a catwalk area. It's a little unclear, or maybe I just kind of skimmed through it.
That makes me a very important question, Danielle, about Joe on the catwalk.
Yes.
Does he do a little turn on the catwalk? On the catwalk?
Yes.
Yeah, on the catwalk?
He's very sexy.
Does a little turn on the catwalk. Good. All right.
Yes.
Making sure.
So yes, he does a little turn on the catwalk, and he sees a man coming out of the bargain stores clearly wearing their purchase, which is a pair of loud plaid pants, a polyester zippered jacket, and a baseball cap.
Oh, this is a zebra.
That's what you wear when you're trying to
be
blend
conspicuous,
in.
Yeah. This is a zebra, Danielle. You're right. Zebra and a baseball cap.
I laughed so hard when I read that. I was like, a pair of loud plaid pants? I know this is 87, but come on.
You should buy pants that don't make too much noise so you won't be like spotted. Like if someone were in through a mall and their pants are going woo, 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 I'd be like, oh, that's the person.
Funny. So the man stops by a trash can and stuffs a large bag inside.
It's a bomb.
From his vantage point, maybe, that'd be funny. From his vantage point, Joe is able to see a mini Uzi tucked inside the jacket.
A mini Uzi submachine gun. So a submachine gun.
Yes. Where was I?
Sorry.
It's okay. As he heads towards Walker. So he's like making his way towards Walker. He's clearly going to assassinate him with the mini Uzi.
Mini Uzi. The weapon of choice among assassins.
Apparently nobody thought to give any of these kids walkie-talkies. So.
Does he like, caw, 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 there, caw.
That'd be hilarious. Joe was like, well, I could yell, but it might start a panic, and then I may not help anything. He might suddenly just take a shot because he's afraid he's going to get caught. Like, what should I do? So he ends up,
do you not have your tranquilizer dart gun? What with that thing?
I do know. Oh, they probably got disarmed when he took them down.
All
remember.
Right.
So he ends up tearing free an electrical cable from the wall.
Okay, and not shocking himself.
And he Tarzans down to Butler, who's like up the floor above Walker, where he's got an aerial view. Both of them have aerial views. And so he Tarzans down to Walker. And Butler notices him only moments before Joe hits him squarely in the chest, sending the gun clattering to the floor towards the edge of the overview.
Is this just like when they like swing on chandeliers in movies and it always is the perfect length or whatever?
Yeah, it's wild. So they grapple along the floor, security rushing towards them as Butler goes for his gun again, and Joe manages to kick it out of the way, but Butler hurls him against a concrete bench, pulling out a knife and going for him.
Stab him good!
Joe tries to grab the knife but misses, and the blade plunges into Joe's hand, and Joe kicks out, hitting Butler in the knees.
So, hand stab, not the most fatal of injuries.
No, but not comfortable either.
No, hands are a delicate thing. That's terrible. He'll never play the piano again.
No, he won't. Because Joe hits Butler in the knees, a terror misses for his throat as he's like plunging down as he tries to kill him. And a policeman finally makes it to them, and Butler stabs him and races for his gun, giving Joe a chance to lurch to his knees and punch him in the face just as he grabs hold of it.
Punch him with his knife hand.
Joe doesn't have a knife.
Oh, he stabs in the hand, but he pulls the knife out of his hand.
Yes, he takes the knife.
Oh, I thought he was going to punch him with his impaled knife hand.
No, that'd be great, but no.
You've just made me a more powerful weapon. Big mistake, Mufasa.
I don't know where the knife is at this point.
It's in the cop, probably.
I could have read it more clearly, but I didn't. So the gun bangs into the safety rail behind them, and he loses his grip, the gun falling into space. And Butler makes a grab for the weapon, arms flailing as he topples over the safety rail.
Oh no, he's dead.
Oh no. He's not dead because he decides to Mufasa it. And he's grabbing hold of the edge of the bar that's like along the floor line.
And so, of course,
and Joe is Scar.
It goes, "Long live the king." He throws him off.
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
He says, "You killed Iola, you scum. You don't deserve to live."
That's his comeback
Yeah, apparently.
Here's how I imagine he says it. You killed Danielle, you scumbag. You don't deserve to live. And throws him off.
Yes. So he raises his foot. He's ready to bring it down on his hands, gripping the ledge, and he stops himself at the last moment, telling him he won't do it because then he'd be no better than him.
Okay, but all those guys you, presumably shot at earlier were fine.
Yeah. But the bad guy is like, you're a fool. I would never show you mercy.
Wait, what? He just did.
The bad guy says... the bad guy says it to
he did.
Joe.
He had them dead to right, and he decided to tie them up and leave them near the bomb, and then start shooting them.
Oh, he really thought they were going to die, though. No, he's like, I don't have time for this nonsense.
No. You showed them plenty of mercy, you dingus.
I don't think he meant to show them mercy. Because of plot, Joe decides to help him up. So he reaches over and he's like, hey, I know. I mean, the guy is hanging onto the ledge.
Take my bloody knife hand.
And to the surprise of no one, he tears loose from Joe's grasp and squeezes Joe's injured hand as he's trying to pull him up, and Joe flinches, losing traction above, and Butler uses Joe's instability to his advantage, swinging his weight to pull them both over the edge.
I mean, again, it's kind of a Pyrrhic victory because his target was Walker, so he accomplishes nothing.
No, but he's going to take somebody along with him.
I guess.
The guy who ruined it for him.
Meddling kids.
None of the spectators help, which I feel like is very true to life.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But Frank, who has finally made it towards them, rushes forward just... Yeah, I know, right? That's actually how I felt when I was reading the book. I was like, oh, Frank was there. So Frank finally makes it to him, and he rushes forward just in time to grab Joe's belt on his pants as he goes over. But Joe's blood-slicked hand can't hold on to Butler, who slips from his grasp and falls to his death.
Oh, somehow trying not to cry for Butler. Oh.
So sad. Joe, very shaken and pale, says, we should have remembered, nobody takes an assassin alive.
Joe, very shaken and stirred.
And Frank feels the need to say, he lived by blood and he died by it.
These are the dumbest, action guy quips. This is Simpsons McBain level, cheesy quips.
So good.
Also, they have no context for this. Remember, no one ever takes an assassin alive. This is your first encounter with it. Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing. I was like, what?
We've tried to capture assassins. We've tried to capture assassins before. They've always killed. The two on the plane, maybe one had a false 2 cyanide pill or whatever, but you've literally had 3 of them you've met in your life.
Yeah, wild.
Crazy.
And so immediately after this conversation, Frank asks his brother how he feels about Iola's murderer getting what he deserved, which seems a really hardcore question after Joe just accidentally let go of some guy and let him die.
Are they both sociopaths? They seem to have no empathy.
I don't know. And Joe was like, it wasn't enough, and he turns away.
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I agree. It probably wasn't. That's how justice works, but sure.
Yeah. Well, I think he means it didn't feel as good as I thought it would, probably.
Revenge never does. If you ever watched a movie, he would know this. Revenge never heals the wound.
Yeah. Well, later that week, assumedly, time has no meaning in this book, Joe is in a sling and bandage, and they're relaxing in the office, and the mall wants to give them, or is going to give them a reward for heroic deeds or something.
That's not how malls work, or rewards. Hey, you guys did something. Here's $50 in, Cinnabon coupons or whatever.
No, it sounds like they're going to get quite a lot of money because they talk about later what they're going to buy with it. So
that's insane.
There's that. So they have managed to, in the interim, convince their dad about their escape from federal custody.
Delicious.
Oh my gosh. Their escape from federal custody without mentioning the network, the British intelligence, or their trip to London.
How?
I don't know, but I would kill for that submarine, because what did they say?
Well, there's a reason the book omitted it, because they would have no way that ever actually happened.
Yeah, they're like, we probably were going to write it in, and then we're like, wait a second.
There's no way I can make this sound plausible.
And the phone rings, and when they pick it up, to their surprise,
Mr. Gray
is Mr. Gray! Yeah, he's alive. He's congratulating them on finishing his...
We'll be in touch in the future, boys. You're now assets of the network.
Yeah, give or take, actually, because Joe offers to help, for future services. If you need anything, let us know. Which, for some reason, Mr. Gray's like, yeah, that sounds legit. I'll totally do that.
Clearly are super competent and not at all, dumb lucked your way through that and didn't screw up our whole thing by not calling us. So, yeah, we'll definitely bring you back on.
And Frank, as I hang up, Frank's telling Joe that he's surprised that he would want to do more work for the organization. And Joe is like, well, I realize that as long as there are assassins, capital A, out there, There will always be more Al-Rusasas. It's not only continuing justice for Iola, but for everyone. That's not quite what he says, but it's the gist of it.
The gist of it is, as long as there's evil, I must be out there protecting the world from evil. To be fair, there aren't just assassins. There are lots of terrible organizations.
Right, and what he continues to say is he doesn't want to give up their usual cases, but there's bigger stuff going on in the world.
Cases. We must capture the spray paint vandal.
Exactly.
It's very important that we capture the guy who was, I don't know, you gave me a bunch of their cases, and I remember none of them. So, cool. Well, just pretend like I said a bunch of those cases you mentioned, and we'll move on.
The haunted house with the smuggling case that was going on.
Right, there was one
the sabotage of the road building project in the Kentucky wilderness.
Yes, right. Justice is a pothole. That's right. That's my great title for that book.
And anyway, there's bigger stuff going on. They could make a big difference in the world. And he asked Frank if he's in on it, and because someone has to be the brains of the outfit.
Clearly not Joe.
And Frank's like, yeah, I'd never, give up on you. Of course, let's do it. And they're like, yeah, go team. And they're off to save the day.
Also, if Frank is the brains of their outfit, they're in deep trouble. Callie should be the brains of the outfit because she clearly is.
Do not disagree. So Sam,
yes.
I have a special treat for you.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to give you a little summary of the next case. I'm not saying I'm doing this one. I just feel like you need to read what the next case is.
I got to see where they end up. They go to they have like a next time in the Hardy Boys.
Yes, exactly.
Frank and Joe's next case. Is it a case? All right.
Yeah, it's always a case.
Yeah, but this wasn't a case. This wasn't a mystery. This whatever.
Mystery of the Assassins.
I've read the first clause of this sentence and I'm already mad.
It's so good.
Disguised as punk rockers.
I've read this one too.
I don't even read that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I love it. Disguised as punk rockers, Frank and Joe infiltrate a gang of punk gun runners apparently.
Don't you want to know how it goes from punk rockers to gun runners?
Because they're punk rock gun runners. It's like Fast and Furious or something. I don't know. But the mission goes disastrously wrong, yes, because they're involved. Stranding the Hardys in Paris with no money, no passports, and a charge of murder hanging over their heads. Probably deserved.
Dun, dun.
The only way out is working for Reynard and Company, a cold-blooded corporation that treats murder and terrorism like a big business. Can the Hardys stop these corporate killers, or will the killers stop the Hardy? Just the Hardy. Just the Hardy. Nope, it says Hardy.
I'm the one who typed it. I'm sorry.
Okay, the Hardys permanently. Find out in Evil Inc., case number 2 in the Hardy Boys case files.
I copied it from the back of the book.
Okay, I thought that was like a copy-paste and they had the typo in the original, so... Well, that sounds dumber than this one somehow.
That's so good.
Oh, you really intrigued me, Danielle.
Maybe we'll do Evil Inc.
How could you not?
With that title.
Right?
So, Sam, that was the Hardy Boys. You're welcome. Anytime.
I feel that this book was a rough go for me because it was doing a lot of like the establishment of the world of the new Hardy Boys world order where they have to be like terrorists and fighters instead of just like boy detectives.
Of course. I just feel like in order to move forward with any potential future Hardy Boys, we've got to get the basics down.
I feel like now they're going to get wilder from here. Now they've got all the like to dispense with any pretense of grounded in some kind of reality.
Also dart guns.
Are there more dart guns? If dart guns become a recurring trope in the Hardy Boys case files, I'll be super mad.
I would be not surprised if there's at least 1 or 2 more dart guns.
I think the author really loves dart guns. He's like, oh, they're so cool. I got to put them in everything. Like skateboards and punk rockers, like dart guns. Kids love those.
Oh, gosh. Dart guns. And dogs.
Dogs.
In malls. Just wandering freely.
Guard dogs in malls. Great.
There's like a whole little bit in there about how like the security guy lets them loose in such and such place on the first floor or whatever, and they just roam the hallways of the mall.
Listeners out there, you have to write in and tell me the name of the security company that is only guard dogs. The dogs only security company.
Dogs.
Yeah, just whatever. Like, is it called Only Dogs or Canine Guards? But like, I can't think of a good name for a security organization that is only dogs. Like,
it's definitely Canine something
or something like Bark
canine.
or Woof or something in there, or like Rough Guards or something. I don't know. I can't. You gotta do it for me. My brain is fried after that episode, so I'm counting on everyone out there to help.
That's our call in. Please send it.
And if you want to tell me the name for your dog's only guard agency, you can do so at bookretorts.com.
You can also tweet, Instagram, or Facebook us at bookretorts.
And if you want to help us fund our startup, Guards Only Dog Agency.
With whatever name you come up with.
Yeah, we'll use your name too. Give you full credit. You can do so at patreon.com/bookretorts.
Patreon!
Woo!
Woo!
Well, until next time, definitely don't hire the Hardy Boys for your missing, piggy bank case.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
They'll end up blowing up the mall.
That's a possibility with dark guns.
Yeah, with dark guns. Well, until next time then, bye.
Take care, everybody.
Busy day. Rush hour in the city.
What a song.
Summer in the city. Rush hour's hot and the girls are pretty. No? All right.
Yeah. Hot time, summer in the city.
That's it. All right. So, anyway, the Hardy...
Sorry.
Danielle's brain went on a little vacation there. That might be the outro.
So what happens?